Money in the Bank is now in the rear view, and man, what a show it was. And let me tell you, the landscape to SummerSlam has definitely changed. I thought I had this whole card figured out for SummerSlam, was supremely confident in it, and then some things happened that are definitely going to be changing the card. So let's talk about it. The night opened up with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This match was a car wreck. There were a bunch of spots in it, just crazy ladder spots. People going through ladders, people getting smacked in the face with ladders. Unreal. Drew McIntyre won, which I predicted. It's one of the very few predictions I actually got right for Money in the Bank. I got swerved a ton last night, and I am here for it. If I'm able to get swerved from time to time, I've been watching WWE 20 plus years. Just for comparison's sake, I'm only 26. So I've been watching it literally my entire life. If WWE is able to swerve me that much in one night, then bravo. Does not happen too often. I'm here for it when it does. I'm not these other wrestling fans who's like, oh, well, that means the wrong person won. Honestly, no. I like it when I'm able to be swerved from time to time. It's nice. It makes it to where it keeps me on my feet, stops it from getting boring, stops it from getting stale. When it's less predictable, WWE is at its best. So it is what it is. I actually really enjoyed Money in the Bank. I loved getting swerved. But we'll talk about that as these kind of swerves and curveballs happen. So Drew McIntyre did end up winning. And that would come into play later on, which we will talk about. The second match of the night was Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. I came in thinking Braun Breaker was going to win. I thought it was going to be a squash. I didn't know to what extent of a squash this match would be. I didn't know if this was going to be a Brock Lesnar versus John Cena SummerSlam 20-25 minute type squash, or if this was going to be like one spear, two spears, 1, 2, 3 Goldberg style squash. Weirdly enough, let me just get into this real quick. Sami Zayn did win, which I didn't think was going to happen. So this is the first swerve of the night. Sami Zayn did win. I was really surprised by that. I'm excited. I am happy. I like Sami Zayn. I know there's going to be people who think Braun Breaker won. It's too soon. In terms of actual matches that he's had, not counting his squashes, he's had, maybe 3, 4? They've been fantastic. Don't get me wrong. They've been very good matches. But I just don't think you put the IC title on him that early. To be fair, if you could have made a point in putting him in the Money in the Bank ladder match and having him win that, and then you could build it a long time again, but they didn't want to build the men's Money in the Bank for another long run, which, again, we'll get into here in just a little bit. But I think Sami winning was the right call. I think Sami's probably going to lose at SummerSlam, whoever he goes against, which I don't know who that's going to be. If that's a rematch against Braun Breaker, then maybe you have Braun Breaker win then, but then it's the bigger moment, right? Winning at SummerSlam versus winning at Money in the Bank. So it was a good match. I think this was definitely the weakest match on the card, which isn't to take anything away from any of the competitors in it, but all the other matches were incredible. So this one might be the one blemish on the entire card. Next up, we had John Cena coming out, surprising everybody. In fact, he actually came out and announced his retirement. Now, he's not retiring right then. He announced that he's basically going to have a farewell tour. And what I really like about this is he mentioned that WrestleMania next year would be his last. Royal Rumble next year would be his last. Elimination Chamber next year would be his last. Made it seem like, okay, so he's going to be here probably from the Rumble to Mania, and then he's going to retire on the biggest stage of them all. But we would get to the press conference where John Cena would announce that he's doing basically 1 year long tour with WWE again. He's going to be there from January to December next year, and he has 30 to 40 dates so far lined up. I wouldn't be too surprised if he just doesn't film movies for the year and he ends up showing up almost every single week. I mean, if you do 40 dates, that means he's only missing 12 shows. That's assuming he doesn't do live events. And I would imagine he's not going to. So That means he would only miss about 2 months total of WWE next year, which would be wild for John Cena in 2025. I'm here for it. John Cena is my personal favorite of all time. I have personal reasons for that. That would never change. Maybe I'll have a story time about that in another video. So that happened. That was kind of emotional. It was cool. Definitely don't look forward to seeing when he retires, but I do look forward to seeing the ride that we get to go on over the next year. Going to be fantastic. Something I definitely look forward to. Well, I thought I had this on weird. My bad. So the third match of the night that we had was Seth freaking Rollins versus Damian Priest. I picked Seth Rollins to win this match, which I thought was going to happen. This was actually a banger match. This match was really, really good. Some people thought it was a little slow. They kind of gave it main event treatment. Main event matches are typically slow until you get to the payoff. You could argue it didn't really pick up in pacing, but there was this really weird spot. This was a good match that, as Triple H pointed out, is going to be overshadowed by one thing, and that's that I think Rollins, he did, the thing where he goes into the Falcon Arrow. He hit the Falcon Arrow, ref goes 1, ref goes 2, ref goes, and he technically hits the mat but doesn't, because Damian Priest doesn't kick out. And then right after that whole thing happened, right after that bots happened, Drew's music hit. So I think the timing was supposed to be 1, 2, and then you hear the whoosh of the sword. And then Drew McIntyre comes out. I think a cue was missed. So it led to this awkward spot where technically Seth did win, but he didn't because it wasn't officially 3. So it was weird. I'm not going to let that weigh down the match too much, but it obviously weighs down on it some. But then Drew McIntyre comes out with his Money in the Bank briefcase that he had won earlier in the night. He comes in, cashes it in, makes it a triple threat match. And we actually get a little bit of an actual proper triple threat match. And just as Drew McIntyre going for the 3, 2, 1 and about to Claymore Damian Priest head off, CM Punk comes out, attacks him, huge pop, absolutely massive pop, takes out Drew McIntyre, and then amongst all the confusion, right, he takes him out, puts him back in the ring, South of Heaven chokes him, just like WrestleMania. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest pins Drew to, in this case, retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Great match, unexpected ending. I have a feeling Seth is going to enter himself into the Damian Priest Gunther match at SummerSlam. Damian Priest versus Gunther, right? Damian Priest has had a good run, don't get me wrong, and I think he could put on a good match with Gunther, but you need Seth Rollins in that match, especially for it being a SummerSlam match. I think you absolutely have to have Seth in there, so I think at some point Seth Rollins is going to be inserting himself into that SummerSlam match instead of it just being Seth versus Gunther. So, not a possibility I really saw coming, but honestly, I'm here for it. So that is one of the things that definitely is going to be changing the landscape of SummerSlam. Because I thought I had that knocked down, but I guess I didn't. So then the fourth match of the night was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. This match was even better than the men's, and I think the men's Money in the Bank ladder match was one of the best men's matches I've seen. I think this women's Money in the Bank ladder match, there were a few botches in it. In ladder matches, you typically get a few, no matter if it's men's or women's. But overall, this was probably one of the best, top maybe 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time, men's or women's. A lot of spots in it. I'm okay with Tiffany Stratton winning. Let's just skip to that. I did pick Chelsea Green to win. I think she deserved it. And there was a moment there where she actually had it unhooked, and then she got smacked in the face with a ladder and sent through 2 tables that were side by side on the outside that her and Tiffany Stratton had set up earlier in the match. And that led her climbing up and retrieving the briefcase, and she won. Again, I'm okay with it. I would have preferred Chelsea Green winning. I think this means Chelsea Green's gonna win the Rumble. If you jump ahead, and you gotta think long term with WWE, just because the person you wanted to win at the moment didn't win then, doesn't mean they're not going to get the moment. Just like had Tiffany Stratton lost this match and Chelsea Green won, then I would have assumed Tiffany Stratton was getting the Rumble win. So I'm okay with it. It's just delayed gratification. It's all it is. WWE fans in particular are very used to Vince McMahon's style of, well, if it doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen. You gotta think long term. I'm already looking ahead to Mania for a lot of these storylines and stuff that's going on right now. Like they built back up Seth versus Punk. I forgot to actually talk about that. So if we go back to the end of that Punk match, or not really Punk, I mean, he was involved, but if we go back to that, Seth was pissed. He was not happy with Punk. He was trying to get up in his face. Corey Graves was holding him back. So they replanted the seeds for that to let us know they ain't done with that storyline. That's going to be a Mania match. So that's cool, right? You gotta be looking ahead. You have to think long term with Triple H's booking. You can't be short-sighted, and a lot of WWE fans aren't realizing that. And then way down the line, when what happens, like, oh well, finally, or I called this a long time, like, or they like, this should have happened a long time ago, or this only happened because the fans wanted it to, when it was the original plan all along. Just like the whole we want Cody thing. Cody was always the plan that was never going to change, no matter what the documentary says. I'll die on that hill. That was the plan the whole time. Anyway, that's just a little side tangent I just went on there, so I apologize for that. Back to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. A lot of crazy spots. Io had the spot, I think it was Zoe Stark, where they were like on the top of the ladder, and then they went whoop off the back of it, boom, onto another ladder, and they both bounced off of it. It was a really nasty spot, and I was just like this for a solid like 30 seconds. It was an amazing spot, one of the best ladder matches I've ever seen. Absolutely perfectly well done. Couldn't have asked for a better match. So now if we skip over to the main event, yeah, the Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. Again, not who I thought was going to win, ended up winning this. I picked the babyfaces to win. I think if you look, I got 2 matches right. I got 2 matches right on the whole card. When the previous 3 pay-per-views, I've gotten only 1 wrong each time. So definitely did not do good in my predictions, but that's okay. You're not going to win them all. This again was a pretty good match. I feel like they had to hold Jacob Fatu back a little bit because you don't want him outshining Solo. Eventually he's going to get to show what he can fully do, but for the little bit that we got to see last night, man, that dude's a beast. I haven't followed his career outside WWE, so I haven't really known what to expect, but that guy is a freak of nature, let me tell you. Absolute stud. World champion is written all over him. He's definitely going to be a future world champion. I know that's not going to be the first content. I'm not going to be the first content creator you hear say that. I might already be like the 4th or 5th you've heard say that. It's true though. That guy is absolutely going to be a machine. Going to be a world champion. Going to have long title runs, I think. Going to have multiple world championships. Absolute machine. But this match is pretty good. Solo got showcased as a monster heel as well. Everybody did their part. There was a lot of referee distractions, and then Bloodline taking advantage. And there's even technically 2 ref bumps in the match. They were kind of back to back, but that's the Bloodline formula, right? At this point, I see the ref bump, and I'm thinking, Roman's not gonna come out yet, is he? Like, he's not gonna come out during the match. And then he didn't come out. And then the Bloodline win. Solo pins Cody Rhodes, beat him with the Samoan Spike. That's something to take away from this, is Cody got pinned. Solo pinned Cody when Roman couldn't. So that's something to keep in mind. I think Roman's going to come back Friday. If he doesn't come back for SmackDown, he's not coming back till SummerSlam. That's kind of where I'm at this point. And I thought they were going to do a match with him and Solo. And see, this is what I mean by the SummerSlam landscape's kind of changing. It's not going exactly how I thought it was going to. And I'm here for it because it's going to make SummerSlam that much more exciting. But yeah, it was a really good show overall. On stream, I gave it a 9 out of 10. And I think, looking back at it, I'm still at a 9 out of 10. I mean, you had that one really bad 1, 2, technically 3 bots in the Seth match. that unfortunately that does weigh into the show a little bit there. But even outside of that, I was still kind of at a 9 out of 10 anyway. I guess I feel like that that Sami Zayn Braun Breaker match it didn't do a lot for me. It was a good match, but it wasn't. I don't think it was a pay-per-view match in terms of how good it was. I don't think it was pay-per-view quality, so that weighs it down. Other than that match, though, the show would be a 10 out of 10. But if there's something that weighs it down, it automatically can't get it automatically can't get a 10 out of 10. So I'm at a 9 out of 10. Drop down your comments below. Let me know what you give it out of 10. Also, what was your favorite match of the night? And are you excited with who won the briefcases? A lot of people think Drew McIntyre was a waste. Not every person who cashes in Money in the Bank is going to be successful. It wasn't a waste at all. If you look, again, long term, it built Seth versus Punk at WrestleMania. Long term, if you think long term, it makes perfect sense why the men's Money in the Bank briefcase was won and then lost the same night, and lost in the way that it was. It was done for a very specific reason, and that's because that's going to build Punk versus Seth, and they're gonna have a really long feud. They might start having a side feud during the main Punk Drew feud. I would not be surprised at all. Gotta think long term. Don't be so short-sighted. It was done for a reason. It was absolutely not a waste. It was the right call. All I'm going to say on the matter, drop some likes on this video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, turn on notification bell so you never miss an upload from me. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Monday Night Raw. Later.